Okay, these are the tools you're going to be needing for this job. You're going to be needing 10mm socket, 8mm socket with an extension, a flathead, a pair of needle nose pliers, a little hook pick. You may or may not need it depending on your situation, a wire brush to scrape off the bottom of the sending unit, some black RTV, some wire cutters, as well as some zip ties. And that's really simple. Hand tools, all you need to do this job. Okay, the first thing you do when doing the fuel pump or removing it is you unbolt this cover here. It's just going to be 4 10mm here. On mine, unfortunately, 3 out of the 4 bolts broke off in the process of removing it. But after that, you will go ahead and look here. There will be 6 8mm bolts there holding the fuel pump assembly there. Those are going to have to be removed, but first you're going to remove these 2 hoses. One's the feed and one's the return line. This fuel pump's already been out. That's why I'm doing this, because I'm going to be putting the little padding around the fuel pump. But first thing you're going to want to do is pull the fuel pump fuse and crank the car over. It might start out for a couple of seconds just to go ahead and kind of purge the system so there's as little gas comes out of these as possible. And then you'll take off these 2 lines and then go to the bolts there. Okay, and then right up here you can see the fuel pump fuse that I removed. It's a 10 amp one. If you're looking at it from the front of the car by the battery, second row up, the one right in the middle. So you're going to pull that one there. That's the fuel pump fuse. And you're going to go ahead and crank the motor over. You could also remove the fuel pump relay, which is that top one right up there. But I chose to remove the fuel pump fuse. But yeah, you're going to do that. Crank the car over. It may start and then run for a second. Just keep cranking it. That way you get alleviate as much of the fuel pressure as possible. Okay, you can see there I went ahead and removed the hoses. The car's been sitting a while, so actually no fuel came out, so that was great. Okay, now that I got all 6 bolts out, I'm going to go ahead and unplug the clip here, because they're going to end up pulling this out right here. So I'm going to go ahead and try and maneuver it out. You got to be careful, because there is a floater in there for the fuel level, so make sure you don't mess that up in the process, which it's pretty thin, so it's actually very easy to mess that up, which I'm trying to not do at the moment, so you're going to watch me struggle. Okay, now there's obviously some gas juice in there, so I'm letting that drip out. And then obviously I have these newspapers here to catch some of it. Okay, and here you can see what I'm doing here. Since the Walbro 255 is on the left and the factory fuel pump's on the right, you can see there's obviously a size difference there. I hid it in there just without any adapter there, and it worked fine. I didn't have any issues, but I just didn't like it because it seemed like it could easily flop off, so I went ahead and ordered the 255 install kit for the S13, and I'm just going to slide those on. It's basically just a little rubber sleeve that goes on top of it, and the bottom one there just helps keep it in place. Okay, so now I got the sleeve on. I actually didn't end up using this guy. It wouldn't even fit on here once I got the sleeve on here, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it as it is. And then put a zip tie around just to make sure it doesn't flop off, but I feel a little better with it the way it is. So yeah, then I also wanted to seal up here with some RTV as well. It's got the gasket in there, but when I was driving around I smelled a little bit of fuel, so I looked and there is a little bit of soakage around it, so I'm going to go ahead and seal that up as well. Okay, and then here I'm just going to go ahead and take a wire brush like this guy here, scrape down here so it's nice and smooth, and I'm going to do the RTV on there, and then go ahead and put this back in. And yeah, in case you were wondering on how to wire the 255, it's really pretty simple. Once you got it all apart, you remove this one, the factory one, you're going to clip the 2 wires there, The black one is ground. The reddish pink one is going to be your power. Pretty simple. Hook them up from the pigtail that comes with the 255 install kit, and then just hook up the hose right there in the middle, and of course the sock. On this one, I did use just the factory rubber grommet on the bottom, and then use this fatty little, I don't know, spacer, fattener, or whatever you want to call that thing. Okay, and right now I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of this black RTV around the part where the cover goes on, or the fuel pump assembly goes on. Okay, and right in here I went ahead and just put some of this black RTV around the perimeter there where the fuel pump assembly sending unit's going to bolt in. So I just basically put a bunch of it on my finger and wiped it all the way around. Doesn't need much. It doesn't come with it stock on there, but this actually had some on there, I'm assuming from when the fuel pump failed at some point and was changed, so, and it never leaked or anything like that, so that's what I'm going with. It also does have this little O-ring here in the middle, which I'm going to wipe off the RTV from there. I'm just using basically the stuff on the outside as like a little bit of an extra added security. And now that I have that there, I'm going to go ahead and put the fuel pump assembly back in. Once again, you're going to want to be very careful at this point because it is hard to, it's easy to bend the little floater. Alright, well that went in surprisingly easy. Other times I've struggled with these in the past, but I'm going to go ahead now and get some of the bolts started. It's going to be slightly hard because of the RTV that's all over. Finding the holes is going to be the tricky part. Once you get one, the rest of them will kind of follow through though. Alright, so there's the one in there, and I'm going to go ahead and put the rest in as well. Just finger tight at first until they're all in. Okay, so now those are all in finger tight, and I'm going to go ahead from there and just snug them up, and then wait maybe 30 minutes or so for the RTV to start drying up, and then I'll tighten them down the rest of the way. Okay, and now that it's back together, I went ahead and put the hoses back on. They're easy to see which one goes which. One flops to one side and one flops the other. You can't really get them mixed up because they won't want to go back on properly. But I also you can see, or maybe not, that I went ahead and replaced the hose clamps. Got brand new ones there as well. And I'm still waiting for, like, you know, the time to come up so I can go ahead and finish snugging these down. But overall, this is a pretty easy job. It takes maybe an hour if you're just replacing it. Probably about the same to do the 255.